Hello, beautiful souls. It's Kat from Elevate, my channel where we talk about recovering from toxic relationships and regaining self love and self esteem. Today's topic is going to be it's okay to feel sad, angry, or depressed. But before we get into the topic today, as always, please check out my free resources below. I'm also now offering one on one private coaching. So, for any of you who are going through a particularly tough time, I will be offering these one on one sessions, and you can find out that info below. So, back to the topic for today it's okay to feel sad, angry, or depressed. I think that a lot of people feel that it's not okay to feel negative emotions, and there's also a pervasive concept within our society that people will try to make you feel better and have you not feel bad. But I think that it's important to remember as humans, we need to experience the entire range of emotions, and that does include negative emotion. So it's normal and it's okay to feel negative emotions. So if you're feeling sad about a breakup, if you're feeling angry about being mistreated or depressed because you're feeling down about recovering from a toxic relationship and you're in the aftermath and it's painful, I think it's okay to feel those emotions. And I think we have to start normalizing this idea that it is okay to feel down. It is okay to feel depressed. You know, as long as you're not staying in these states for an extended period of time, as long as you're getting the proper help from, let's say, a therapist or from your friends, from your family, and you have people around you. These are not necessarily clinical states. If you're going into a clinical state, it's a different story. But when you're just feeling pain and you're feeling sadness about the end of a relationship, or you're feeling disappointment, or you're just feeling sad because a relationship didn't work out and you want to stay in bed all day, or you want to be feeling like you just want to not do much and you just want to sort of stay home or not socialize, there's nothing wrong with that. So stop letting other people tell you that that's wrong, that you need to take those emotions, put them aside, and put on a happy face and get out there. You don't necessarily need to socialize when you don't feel like being sociable. You don't need to push yourself. You're not wrong for wanting to take care of yourself. And I think people, especially codependent people, need to understand that they have to learn how to trust their emotions. They have to learn how to trust their gut instincts. I think a lot of people with codependency don't trust their gut instincts, and that gets them into a lot of trouble. So when you have an instinct to feel like you need to take care of yourself, you need to stay home, you need to not go out, you need to not see people, please respect that and understand that that's your body telling you that's what you need right now. Conversely, you may feel like you want to go out and you want to socialize and you want to have one-on-one time with your friends, or be out around people. And so then you should do that. I think it's true that at times, we don't want to go out, but then we do and we have a good time. That does happen. But I just feel like we need to honor all of our emotions and not just try to skip the difficult ones. I think grief from a toxic relationship or a toxic breakup is very intense. It's very painful, and grief can overtake you. But I do believe that working through your grief by journaling and by doing certain types of work on yourself as you go through that grief can really change things, because it helps you to actually wade through all of the emotions and all of the experience. What happens when people just push their negative emotions away again and again and they just try to forget is that they repress those emotions, and usually it comes to bite them on the ass later. If it's not months later, it's years later that all of these things will pop up because they've not dealt with all of the emotion. They may take that into new relationships too. If they just repress and then they jump into a new relationship, it's just another form of denial because you're denying your own pain and you're denying your own grief. So I just wanted to do this quick video to say it's okay to feel the entire range of emotions, from happiness to sadness, depression, feeling grief and so much pain. That's human. That's being human. That means you cared. You cared so much that you felt so much deep pain. And that's good. That means that you have the ability to have those deep feelings of care and love and emotion towards someone else. So it's not a bad thing. It does hurt at the time, and it is the risk that you take. When you love someone or you care about someone, you take a risk that you will be hurt. And many times you will be hurt because you will continue to maybe risk it and get hurt on many different levels and many different relationships, even non-toxic relationships where you may feel devastated that it didn't work out, even though the person wasn't toxic. So when we love, we're always taking that risk. We're always putting ourselves out there, and it's scary for everyone because no one likes to feel how it feels when it ends, right? That everyone loves to feel being in love and that feeling of finally meeting someone who you really click with, you enjoy being with, you have great conversations, and you're, a match on all different levels, physically, emotionally, mentally. That's an amazing feeling. It's a high that is really special, I guess you could say. That connectedness with that other person, feeling like you've got a partner in life. So when you maybe don't have the same match in that person anymore, when things go south, whether it turns out that they're a narcissist or it just turns out that things just didn't work out because you weren't compatible for some other reasons, it's a high place to fall from, right? Because you're flying high when you have that kind of partnership and relationship. So then you may fall, and especially if you've been love bombed by a narcissist or a toxic person, you're falling from a pretty high place because you've been put up on a pedestal for quite some time. You've had the love bombing. This person has been really putting you up on a pedestal. They've been holding you very high regard. They've been telling you all about how highly they regard you. And then all of a sudden, if they turn out to be a narcissist or someone toxic, they'll pull the rug right out from under you and you fall from that pedestal pretty hard. And it is a painful, painful fall. We all know that. Anyone who's been through a toxic relationship knows that you're coming from a high, and you're going into a deep pit of despair, of grief, and of pain. But the only way to get through this type of experience, I believe, is that you actually will feel the grief. You will actually process it and feel it for as long as you need to feel it. And it could be months. I mean, I remember waking up day after day and I had this heavy weight on my shoulders of grief. I knew it was grief. There was nothing I could do about it. Um, it's something you feel like you can't control. You're powerless. And there's a piece of this that's very unsettling as well, because most people want to be in control, and I'm going to do another video on that. So you're basically accepting this pain, this grief. You feel like there's a weight on your shoulders. You feel like you can't shake it. It's going on for a long period of time, and yet these emotions are normal. This is normal to feel this way after you lose something that was very special to you, a person that was in your life that was special to you, that you cared about. And it just goes to show that you are a human who can have such a deep love for someone. When you feel that deep pain, that's the flip side of that deep love. So I hope you won't be too hard on yourself and you'll understand that it's normal to feel this way. I do believe that when you're processing grief, though, it's a balancing act. So you may cry, and that's okay. You're crying in the morning, and then maybe you go out with your friends that night. So you're balancing a little bit. Like you don't want to be completely one-sided, indefinitely, because that's not healthy. You don't want to go into a clinical depression. So you need to kind of balance out, um, a lifestyle where you're not denying your feelings, you're not repressing your feelings, but you're also living. So it's balancing almost grief and living at the same time. So living life and grieving. You've got to do a little bit of both on a daily basis until the grief kind of dissipates, because it will over time. It takes time and attention, and it takes self-care, and it takes self-love, and being gentle with yourself so that you're not beating yourself up for having these emotions. Or, I know a lot of people, they'll be like, I can't understand why I'm still upset about this guy. It's been 6 months since he left, or he cheated on me, or something like that. And you really cannot give yourself a timeline, and you cannot beat yourself up like this, because it takes as long as it's going to take. I mean, I've had situations where I was with someone for a very short period of time, and it took me a long period of time, like months, to get over it. Whereas I had people I dated for years, and it took me less time to get over it. So it really just depends on the scenario, what happened, where you were at the time, how vulnerable you were when you met that person, and what kind of dreams did you have to let go of when you let go of that person. There's a lot to unpack, and there should be a lot of journaling and trying to understand what this person meant for your life. But the way to get past this type of toxic heartbreak, or even just any heartbreak, is this delicate balance of living life and grieving. And it could be like you grieve for 3 days, and then you live life for a few days, and you're feeling happier, but then you might go back down into grief again, and you might be very like upset. Or it could be all in the same day. It could be, like I said before, in the morning I'm grieving and crying, but at night I go out with my friends and I have a great time. Everybody's different. But it's that balancing act of going back and forth that ultimately helps the grief to dissipate. You want to cry. Crying is a huge physical release, and of course an emotional release, but physically it releases stress from the body. And I think it's an important part of grieving. So if you are not crying, I would suggest seeing if you can cry. I would not hold yourself back from crying. I would not hold yourself back from any of these emotions. Again, it's just all a delicate balance of feeling the feelings, being able to process them, and then you're able to let them go. That grief, that sadness, it will dissipate. It just takes time. And anger, in fact, actually is a motivator for a lot of people. And it's happened with me too in certain situations, that getting angry about what had happened to me became my motivator, and it drove me to achieve better things, and to uh, let's say, make changes in my life, make better changes in my life, and a different future. So anger can actually be good in some instances, because it gets you going. It may get you to a place where you exit a toxic relationship. Maybe you got so angry that you just left because you finally realized that you deserved more. So these emotions all have their purpose, and we can't uh, say, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Oh, cheer up. Like things could be worse. Like, people say these things. They are well meaning people, but really they're just invalidating your feelings. So don't apologize. Feel how you feel. If you want to be sad because you actually genuinely feel sad, that is a normal human emotion, and you should do it. You should feel it, and don't beat yourself up. Don't let other people judge you. And just process it as it comes. Let it pass past you. It will eventually dissipate. It will not be as intense. It will not be as dramatic and painful as it is, um, as time goes on. So I hope this video helped you today. And again, if you need any help If you need any help one on one, I'm happy to help you with my new coaching